first.
So it's kind of a paradox or a both and.
It's a
Sometimes
both and.
we talk about it as rather than either, well, you're either going to be open to outsiders and culturally relevant, or you can really be biblical.
Yeah.
And what we say is, no, we think God's bigger than that.
Yeah.
And we think he's called us to a both and, but it's difficult, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
what are some of the challenges that come along with trying to do that?
Well, some of the challenges that we have being culture relevant and doctrinally pure are exemplified with Jesus. So there he is, and he's trying to reach people who are in his particular cultural situation, and a lot of them religious outsiders. And he is specifically coming under criticism because he is bringing the truth of his gospel to people who are not seeming to be eligible folk, because they're irreligious, because they're notorious sinners, tax collectors, prostitutes, and the like. So there's Jesus being culturally relevant in that he's touching these people at the point of their need. They need relationship. Matthew is a great example where he actually creates a little party where Jesus can touch irreligious folks who would not be normally considered to be interested in the God life. And yet at the same time, we know Jesus is perfectly pure. He's the sinless Son of God. So he maintains his own ethical purity, obviously doctrinally pure. He is doctrine because he is the Word of God. At the same time, touching people right where they're at in the culture with their language, their understanding, and kind of bridging the gap. So we want to be like that. Jesus kind of sets out the example for us.
And you know what's interesting is one of the things I think we've learned is that culture, right? You talk about language and your art and family and all that other stuff. And I think we're finding more and more that what we used to think was one big culture, like an American culture, is fragmenting. And now there are lots of smaller cultures. And so what's culturally relevant in Texas is not necessarily culturally relevant in North Dakota or here in suburban Western Washington. And so we're finding that we have to adapt and the way we share these eternal truths, these unchanging truths of the Christian faith is adapting with these smaller fragmenting cultures, and it's becoming more and more of a challenge to hold to that while we still maintain relevancy.
One of the best ways to do that is to understand a difference between method and message. So we understand our message is going to be fundamentally the same. It's going to be contained.
That hasn't changed for 2,000 years.
Yep. And then Jude says the truth once for all time delivered to the saints. That's what we're holding. That's our message. Our method is changing all the time.
Yeah.
And it has
sometimes
changed
weekly.
throughout. And sometimes it has. I mean, just acknowledging it has changed throughout human history is kind of liberating to say, look, we're not the first church that has said, we're going to have different modes of communication.
Right.
Because we have different audiences with different leanings and cultural sensitivities.
So there you go. That is a core value here in Allen Creek. Cultural relevance, doctrinal purity. Great example of this. We're kind of plugging this film that's out there right now that represents it. Big Hollywood production. It's in open release. We're actually going to be starting a series on this March 22nd, 23rd, and it talks about it really represents well, kind of almost embodied in Jesus, his humanity and his divinity.
Well, and some of the controversy about the film, I'll just say this: some of you've heard this on the Twitterverse and on Facebook. Some Christians are wondering if it's authentic doctrinally. So here's an interesting thing where the movie is trying to make the message of Jesus culturally relevant by using the mediums, the art forms that are relevant to the culture. But the question that comes right along with it is it being faithful to the original message? Well, listen, go and see the movie. Make up your own mind. I think it's not a good reason, some of those blog posts, to not see the movie. Go see the movie. Make up your own mind. And we are going to talk about it from a biblical perspective, and we're going to be doctrinally pure and culturally relevant as we do so. And
don't try to sneak in your own snacks.
That's right.
He tried to do that last week, and it was really embarrassing. When we got stopped by
the popcorn, Dan.
I know you like the popcorn.
I like the popcorn.
But don't you think the barbecue was a little over the top? I mean, seriously? Did you think the ticket taker was not going to see?
I thought fried chicken would pass. They caught the barbecue here and here.
Yeah, I thought it was the grill you were towing in behind you. That was a little over the top.
I had grill class. I had grill class seats. Me and the Chicago Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.